This is A to Z with Mark ZInno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you we'll look at the numbers. Welcome in. We're live here on this Tuesday and a jam-packed show for you guys. Grant McAuley from our Braves POSTCAST and host of From the Diamond is going to join us as well. Right on the precipice of week one of the college football season coming up, and some Falcons news and notes to get to before the end of this show. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, Mark ZInno, MarkZinno. And we want to start today with the Atlanta Braves because, well, you guys know me by now. I'm a lot of fun. And I guess I have a different definition of fun than most Braves fans. But after my poll from Vaughn Grissom and Ozzie Albies, which I thought was fun, but apparently a lot of Braves country did not. That said, I wanted to sort of get to this point and forecast the rotation for the playoffs based off of situations and numbers. Right? Like, to me, this is an exercise that I do routinely and try to figure out how guys are pitching right now and say, if the playoffs started tomorrow, this is what we would do. You know, let's see what can change and where they're going, who may get hot down the stretch in the final month of the season, and who may end up getting a situational start, comparatively speaking, to somebody else. So let's assume, for argument's sake, that the Braves don't end up overtaking the NL East. Because if they overtake the NL East, one, you know, they are in a very advantageous position in a sense that they will get the winner of the Cardinals, Brewers, NL Central champion, and the last wild card. So, which means it's probably going to be the Phillies right now as it stands, or the Cardinals right now as it stands, one or the other. Then you also get to set your rotation for a 5-game series, not a 3-game series. Because once the playoffs actually start and you start putting arms out there, you have very limited choice. You have very limited options to flex, right? The off days are very small. You got to give 4 days in between. You don't like to put guys on 3 days rest and go. It never works out well. So you have all those situations at play. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that they end up winning the number one wild card, and they have to have, right now it would be a 3-game series against San Diego. Now, for the record, again, some of this does matter against San Diego and Philadelphia, the second and third wild cards right now, respectively. And I'm pretty sure, let me just double check real quick. But I'm pretty sure that nobody's really going to catch either one of those two teams. I know that the Giants were chasing for a hot moment, but yeah, I mean, the Brewers theoretically could get in. Right now, the second place team in the NL Central, only a game and a half out of the final wild card. So, yeah, but the Phillies have a game and a half lead over the Padres for the second spot. So there are a couple of different teams in there that they could end up facing. And I would tell you, if you look at some numbers based off of who's going to start, that's what you really want to look for. Obviously, I think we all agree, Max Fried is getting the ball in game one, and there is no debate about it. I understand it. There shouldn't be a debate. He's your ace. He's been your ace all year long. He's the best pitcher on this staff. He certainly has the numbers to back up the fact that he would be the guy you give the ball to. He's got a 2.52 ERA. He's got the lowest whip of any starter on the staff. That includes my boy Spencer Strider by the smallest of margins. But, you know, Max Fried clearly, again, is a guy that you want to have the ball in game one. He walks the fewest amount of batters. He's got a high strikeout rate. I mean, he's as good as you want going in game one. I don't think anybody's going to object or even second guess Brian Snitker for starting Max Fried in game one. Now, who you start in game two, I think matters who you play a little bit. Now, I've said this. I have been on the record multiple times as saying that, you know, I would go, my 3 starters in any order would be Fried, Wright, and Strider, and Morton would take a back seat. Okay? But there is a scenario, I think, where Morton could get the ball over one of the young guys. I'll tell you what that is in just a second. First, a word from our friends at Dave. You know, if you guys have ever been in the situation where you're short on cash, you're a little tight on money, Maybe you got like a wedding or a birthday coming up you need to buy a gift for, or you just got some bills that you're falling behind on, want to put some extra gas in your gas tank at this point in time. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to make ends meet, it can be really, really stressful. That's where Dave can help. Dave is the banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. That's more money to fill your tank, buy that gift you're looking for, just pay off some extra bills, tackle those expenses that have been stressing you out without any hangups. There's no interest, no credit check needed, and millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get the financial relief they need. So here's what you do. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member FDIC. Your future you will thank you. All right. So here's the situation, okay? And here's what I think. I would, depending on the fact of they're home or on the road, I would probably start Spencer Strider in game 2 at home. Like, that's where I am comfortable. I'd put him on the mound that he's comfortable with. I'd put him in a spot where he is better equipped to handle the pressure of the playoffs. I would probably start Kyle Wright in game 2 if the situation warranted it, i.e., you're playing a team maybe like San Diego that doesn't strike out as much. San Diego's top 10 in K percentage this year in Major League Baseball. And believe it or not, they strike out even less on the road than they do at home. So the idea of the strength of the Padres being not striking out a lot and throwing a high K rate guy like Strider sometimes is counterintuitive. They're going to put the bat on the ball. You're wasting your best strikeout pitcher on a lineup that doesn't strike out that much. You're putting big on big. And some people say that's what you want to do. But I may rely on a guy like Kyle Wright in game 2 in that spot. Now, if it's the Philadelphia Phillies or even the Milwaukee Brewers who strike out more than that, I go with Strider. If you end up in a 1-1 scenario in a 3-game series, Charlie Morton likely would be the guy that would get the ball. I'm just supposing Brian Snitker would want to give it to a veteran, a guy who's been there before, a guy who has pitched in big playoff games. Like, it's really hard to fathom, in my eyes, at least Brian Snitker giving the ball to a Spencer Strider or a Kyle Wright in a game 3, winner take all, lose you go home scenario. That's a lot of additional pressure to put on a young pitcher. It's hard enough to start in the playoffs. Now, again, if you can't trust him to win you a game that you need to win, he shouldn't really be getting the ball to playoffs to begin with. I think that's a fair argument. But still, you know, I am somebody who believes that the high level talent of a guy like Strider, to me, you can't not give him the ball in the postseason. And it shouldn't be one of those, oh, well, it's a game 4 type scenario where we're up 2-1, or game 4 scenario where we're up 3-1 in a 7-game series. Like, he deserves, and we read the numbers yesterday, he deserves to get the ball whenever you think he does. But again, if we left Charlie Morton out of the playoff rotation, would anybody really be that upset? I mean, Morton's got the highest ERA. He's got the highest whip. Of the 4 we're talking about, by the way, 3 Wright, Morton, and Strider. Highest ERA, highest whip, by far giving up the most home runs. Yes, he's got a high strikeout rate, but he's also walked the most batters. So, I mean, it's been a mixed bag all year long with Charlie Morton. And that's not what you want to walk into the playoffs doing. You don't want to be giving the ball to a guy that's got a 50-50 shot of having a good start versus having a bad one. All right, coming up next, we will discuss this question with Grant McAuley and some of the other burning questions about the Atlanta Braves. That's coming up right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked. Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Check out all the shows on the Locked On Sports Atlanta Network. Of course, this is A to Z. I've hit hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day One's Jarvis Davis, and Teacher Batiste. Locked On Falcons, Locked On host, and the host of our best show our most popular show, our Braves POSTCAST. Grant McAuley joins us here on A to Z. Grant, welcome. Good to see you as always.
Yeah.
Braves getting set to start a series with the Colorado Rockies, and really an opportune time because the Mets are facing the Dodgers, Braves are facing the Rockies. So if you're going to make up and hopefully, like the best case scenario, I think, is if the Mets don't end up getting swept but lose 2 out of 3 and the Braves sweep the Rockies, you're a game out of first when this is all said and done.
Yeah, you're hoping that this is the week we're able to make a little bit of, headway as far as trying to track down the Mets, because the Dodgers could give you an awful lot, because the Dodgers are a team that appears to be the only one in baseball that's most series and maybe most nights is immune to losing. And that's just not something you see a lot of. And the Dodgers have been on quite a roll. Meanwhile, the Mets have done pretty much everything they needed to keep the Braves at least at an arm's distance. But this is a race that with 30 plus games to go, the whole month of September ahead of us, and even a little bit into October, is going to be decided by which club is able to, I think, play the most consistent baseball down the stretch. I think the Braves have done that. This weekend in St. Louis probably didn't give people a whole lot of, good feelings, particularly Saturday and Sunday. But this is a Braves club that's only lost 2 series since the All-Star break. So go and handle your business against the Rockies, then the Marlins come in right after that. So it's a chance to, take advantage of the soft part of the schedule.
And you mentioned the series didn't go well, and how much people have made a big deal about the bullpen and what had happened. Troublesome to me, to say the least, just because the overreaction to it, I think, is at this point in time, clearly we know this is a bullpen that can be trusted. We know that this bullpen that is one of the better ones in baseball. A bad weekend. It happens. Is it inopportune the time it happened? Yeah, but I thought the overreaction was a little bit much.
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, because Kenley Jansen, I think, has been the guy that, is going to bear the brunt of it, because he's the closer. And when you allow a game to get away and you walk home the winning run, there are a lot of different ways to lose. Walking in the winning run is probably toward the top of the list of one of the worst ways to possibly lose. It was the culmination of an inning in which it just seemed like he didn't have it. But it all happened, I would say, rather quickly. I mean, you can't just get your closer up, get him in a game, and have 2 more guys throwing in the bullpen just in case he gets in trouble. And that, I think, is some of the nuance that's just not really realized. And what are you going to do? I mean, allow him to get in trouble, allow the game, and then bring somebody else into a bases-loaded situation and hope that they're able to get out of that? And this is the guy that you got to live and die with at the end of the day, and he's the one that's been doing it for the longest and has been putting together a Cooperstown resume, in my opinion. But that aside, then you go into the next day, and I think it just compounds the issue. When you lose twice in the late innings in a game that you pretty much should have had well in hand, an opportunity to sweep another first-place team, A.J. Minter throwing 3 days in a row, you can question using him in that blowout in Game 1. I think that's totally valid. But A.J. is not a guy who's been a liability to this bullpen. I think he's been their best overall reliever all season long, and that includes Kenley Jansen. And he had never allowed multiple home runs in an appearance in his entire big league career. And that's what happened to him in the 8th inning on Sunday. So some things went wrong, most definitely. Those players are aware of it. The Braves are aware of it, and they just got to figure out a way to have fewer days like that down the stretch. But every one of these losses that's happening right now is equal to all of those early season struggles and losses and series that the Braves weren't able to take care of in April and May. It all comes back. It all counts the same. It just is magnified right now because you're running out of days on the calendar.
All right, there was an alarming headline I saw yesterday, and it's one of those that is both big picture and small picture. I'll tell you about that in a second. First, a word from our friends at betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, Major League Baseball, of course, wrapping up NFL right on the doorstep, along with college football. NBA, NHL, right around the corner, combat sports, esports, even golf. It's all there. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, which is a lot of fun. Even if you're new to gambling, you don't need to know a lot about live in-game or betting itself to be able to live in-game bet. So it's fun, a great way to get initiated into gambling. But they also have scores and podcasts. They've got you covered at BetOnline. Head today to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more about the action that's happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, the alarming headline, Grant, that I saw was in the AJC. It was about Ronald Acuna's knee and the intense pain that he was in. In the small picture, you could sit here and tell me, well, Zeno, he's not really playing that well. Well, he's playing well by Major League standards. He's not playing well by Ronald Acuna's standards, and those are 2 different things. That's number one. Number two, you could say, well, we won the World Series last year without him. I go, yeah, but you had a whole bunch of different players there. The bottom line here is that there's not an argument to say that the Braves are better without Ronald Acuna in the lineup on an everyday basis. That's the small picture. The big picture is, and the fear, and I don't know how much this is talked about, but pushing him through this, pushing him through. What sort of damage are we doing to the knee? Is he going to have to go get it cleaned up in the offseason again? Is this going to be a perpetual problem for him now the rest of his career? It's like, how do you balance this? Because there are fans out there who may say, well, they won the World Series last year. Who cares if they don't win it? No, BS. Win the World Series every damn year if you can. Like, there is no reason to ever look back at last year and go, well, we don't need to win this year. Yes, you do. Win the damn thing again. I mean, talking to a Yankee fan here, hello, win as many as you can.
Right.
You're never going to be upset about winning more than one. So how do they treat this? How serious is Acuna's knee to you? What's the plan to go ahead? I mean, is just a rest here and there enough for him? What's up?
Yeah, I feel like the rest is really the route to go. I don't think it's anything that at this point that you're concerned about it causing more damage or needing to be cleaned up in the offseason or requiring another surgery. I don't think they've gotten to that point yet. I just feel like this is a kid that went through a major surgical procedure to correct an injury that cost him the better part of last season and pushed it on into this season. And this may just be the new normal to him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And some of this will be managing pain, and athletes have to manage pain. I got news for you. They're never 100%. They may not even be 100% coming out of spring training, but they're certainly not 100% at this time of the year. Everybody's got aches and pains and things going on. And for Ronald, this is totally different than perhaps any other time in his life, just in general. He's always been a great athlete and one of the premier players wherever he goes, whatever league that is, and that includes Major League Baseball. And I think that people have kind of maybe in some ways forgotten exactly how good this guy is because we haven't seen that this year. But I feel like that's all still in there. But running the bases, even hitting at times, I think has been, something that he's felt just different. The knee has just not been quite the same for him. And I think that that's been apparent, in the way he plays the outfield at times. He's still not leaping and making a lot of dives in the outfield either. And I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen him slide feet first this year. And that's a strange thing to be saying about a baseball player who's an everyday guy as we approach the month of September. But he has been trying to take care of this the best he can. The Braves have been trying to take care of it the best that they can because there's no reason for him not to be out there on a regular basis. But I just feel like this is just something he's going to have to manage. And in the immediate aftermath or the immediate season after, in which it may be a little bit more intense than it is going forward, hopefully, it's just going to present some hurdles and present some pain at times. And getting that time off, a couple of days here or there, I think should be enough. If it's not, and he has something that's a bit more severe, intense, whatever you want to call it, then maybe you have to make a different decision. But I don't think it's gotten to that point yet. But I don't think that we're through hearing that Ronald Acuna Jr. is dealing with some knee issues because it's just kind of something that I think comes with the territory when you get your ACL reconstructed.
All right, because fun, and I'm fun, and Braves fans have a different definition of fun than me, obviously.
Clearly.
We won't get into the Vaughn Grissom, Ozzie Albies poll. We've moved on from that. But I do want to continue to hammer out a playoff rotation here going forward because we're down the stretch here. And, according to the percentages, there's a 99.9% chance the Braves are going to make the playoffs. Now, a lot of this obviously depends. Do they get the first round bye or are they wild card? They're obviously going to be the top wild card if they are. I don't see a reason why they'd fall in a second or third. That said, if they're the top wild card right now, they're trending towards a 3-game series with the San Diego Padres. Or even if it's Padres as the Phillies, you're getting a fairly even level opponent. The way I approach this, and I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, Fried's going to go game one. But I still say, given this scenario, it is either Strider or Wright in game two. And Morton, look, you're not giving Wright or Strider the ball in a winner-take-all game. If it's 1-1 in a 3-game series, Morton is getting that ball. It has to be, right? Like, you can't put that kind of pressure on either one of those guys.
I don't know. I mean, the old school says that, you go with your veteran guy. But I can also go back and look at the 2019 National League Division Series and wonder why, Dallas Keuchel got 2 starts. Both of them ended up being losses. And Mike Soroka started one time, looked terrific. And he was a 21-year-old kid who had just done nothing but win all season long and give you reason, not just win because the team scored him a bunch of runs. He'd gone out there and
dominant.
It was a Rookie of the Year case. Pete Alonso wasn't busy hitting 50 homers that year, and Mike Soroka walks away with that Rookie of the Year award. And that's kind of what I look at. But Spencer Strider's a different animal than Mike Soroka was.
Yes.
And with Kyle Wright, I feel like he's done nothing but just show you that consistently he can go out there and give you a good start. Yeah, everybody's going to have a bad one every now and again, but if you've been watching the body of work that guy's put up this year, it has been an impressive quality start after quality start kind of performance. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I think you'd want in the postseason. And Max Fried is going to get that ball game one. Right. Charlie Morton has been a big game pitcher over the last 5, 6, 7 years of his big league career, as he's had this renaissance, if you will, in his mid to late 30s to become the pitcher that he is and what the Braves signed him to be. I would just make the case that down the stretch, you kind of have to make your own case as each one of these pitchers as to who you can trust the most. And if anything, October has shown us you can ride the hot hand. You can get on a streak and things can work out in ways that maybe your best laid plans at the beginning of the season or even a month out would not have allowed you to do. And I think the Braves proved that last year. So I have a hard time imagining Spencer Strider doesn't get a start in a 3-game series. And I have a hard time imagining at the moment that Kyle Wright doesn't get one either, because Charlie Morton has had a very Jekyll and Hyde up and down kind of season. And that's just not the kind of thing I feel like you want. I mean, as much as you want to, tell Charlie, hey, you're still the guy, you're our guy to start these games, and you've done it all your career, I think at some point you might have to just pass that baton to somebody else who just might be more qualified. And depending on what that matchup looks like as well, whether it's the Phillies or the Padres, who you feel like gives you the best chance to win, because it's survive and advance, right? I mean, that's what you're looking at to get through each one of these series. The Braves did a pretty nice job of that last year. And I know that, you made the joke a little bit earlier. Yeah, the Braves won the World Series, not Ronald Acuna Jr. Well, they're not getting there without Ronald Acuna Jr.'s first half, having them in a position to buy at the trade deadline. The Braves won the World Series by and large without Charlie Morton because he broke his leg in his first start. That's not the kind of thing that you typically see. But be that as it may, I feel like you just got to give the opportunity to pitch down the stretch and decide who is best fit for the matchup that you get in the first round. And hopefully, you're not having to worry about the wild card, but we got to figure that out over the next month.
Well, you could always do what Lou Brown did and start Eddie Harris and then bring in Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn. And, that's always
I don't know if that's going to work.
How could you ever go wrong emulating Lou Brown? Grant McAuley of our Braves POSTCAST, of course, from the Diamond. Check out the podcast. You can hear him on Sundays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Great to talk to you as always, buddy. Appreciate the time today. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Take a time out. Come back. Wrap things up next here on A to Z. Locked on Sports Atlanta. Free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Final segment of A to Z here on Locked on Sports Atlanta. Free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked on Sports Atlanta. Before we get some notes on the Atlanta Falcons and one guy who thinks Desmond Ridder is ready to go, we're going to get to our Shovel of Wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the Shovel of Wisdom.
Yeah, you know how we do it every day. We have to set somebody straight for saying or doing something stupid. We do it right here on A to Z with the Shovel of Wisdom. Whack them right upside the head. You can do so on my Twitter account at Mark ZInno, MarkZinno. Just use the hashtag Shovel of Wisdom. And today my shovel goes to the San Diego State University Athletic Department. Okay. By now, you probably all know what's going on with former Bills punter Matt Araiza. Anyway, the rookie who was drafted in the 6th round out of San Diego State, the punter, is accused, along with 2 other men, of raping a 17-year-old girl, which is under the age of consent in the state of California. And he was released by the Bills, and the investigation now going. He claims he's innocent. His parents have actually come out and publicly defended him, and the legal process is going to play itself out. San Diego State spoke for the first time Monday about the allegations that went on. And this was alleged to have happened back in October of 2021, October 17th, 2021. The lawsuit states that Araiza, I can't even say it. Anyway, he was accused of having relations with a 17-year-old high school senior, again, under the age of consent. And I'm not going to get into the sort of details because they are sort of gory and they're not something you want me to read. Anyway, so the very next day, the school became aware of a report of an off-campus sexual assault on October 18th and the existence of a San Diego police investigation following. Now, the Title IX office began its assessment, and it received a request from the police department to delay its investigation is not to not potentially compromise a police investigation. This is what the school said it did, and it complied because they were asked about, well, how come you haven't done anything? Why didn't you know about this before? Because theoretically, for a guy who was drafted and went through the combine process and went through all this stuff, how in the world did they miss a pending sexual assault allegation against a player? Well, that begs the question, what did San Diego State really do to bring to light the events that happened? They say that they were asked not to get involved in the investigation. They complied. Now, 3 weeks after the alleged assault, San Diego State brought in Brenda Tracy, who is a rape survivor and sexual assault prevention educator and a public speaker, to speak to the football team. And they say that they brought her in purposely after the alleged incident to, educate the team and the student athletes. Here's the thing that is really troublesome for me. Because the athletic director, let me get his name here real quick, John David Wicker, 3 names, always bad. Probably a psycho. Anyway, he dismissed the suggestion that San Diego State coaches were trying to sweep the allegations under the rug due to the success of the football team. And Wicker said, quotes, absolutely not true. We'll hold any student, any coach, any staff member to be held responsible for anything that's confirmed and adjudicated. But it's absolutely not true that we swept this under the rug because it was football, because we're having a successful season. That's not who we are. That's not who I am. This calls into question my morals and my ethics. And no, that's not true. Okay. If you delay the investigation and you followed what the police asked you, why are we only hearing about it now, almost a year later? Like, did you follow up? Did you ask any other questions? Did you continue to pursue it? Like, the investigation, if it's taking 9-10 months, the police don't really have enough to charge, because really there have been no charges filed at this point, no arrest made in the case. The police have not publicly identified any suspects, and the results of the investigation are in the hands of the district attorney, and there's no timeline on whether charges are going to be filed. SDSU says it was cleared by the San Diego Police Department on July 22nd to begin a campus investigation. Oh, really? Okay. It's just weird. It's really weird. And you should have had a better answer for this if you're San Diego State than, well, we did what the police told us to and we're out. Yeah, but that's not it. It's more than that. You have to dive a little bit deeper than that if you really like to be able to, get to the bottom of stuff like this. So that's a little bit frustrating. Anyway, do better, San Diego State. All right, before we get to the Falcons, a word from our friends at Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. Why do I know this? Because I use them every single day. I get my K-Cup out from my Coffee AM, plop it in there. This morning was Kenya again, one of my favorite flavors. They have flavors from around the world: Kenya, Sumatra, Tanzania, Rainforest, Costa Rica, Colombia. I mean, listen, folks, they get coffee from around the world, and it is absolutely delicious. And it's fresh because they roast and ship their coffees on the same day or close to it. Trust me, when the box arrives at your house, you open it up, it's going to be life-changing, world-changing, game-changing. That smell is going to smack you right in the face in the very best of ways. Organic, fair trade, direct trade, blends and espressos and flavored coffees, teas, gift sets, the whole nine. Coffee AM has it all. So here's what you do. Go to coffeeam.com/locked-on and check out the full menu of coffees, teas, and gift sets. That's coffeeam.com/locked-on. Use the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout to get 15% off your first order of coffees, teas, and gift sets at Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. Okay. Some positive news here about Desmond Ridder. According to Ted Nguyen, who covers the NFL for The Athletic, he says Desmond Ridder is ready for his shot now. Quote, he's a poised, polished prospect who played in a Cincinnati offense that utilizes many of the drop-back concepts that translate in the pro game. Okay. And he does one of those things that we like to do on the interwebs when we talk glowingly about a quarterback. You just pick one play and showcase it and break it down and show why he was really good on it. And I don't say that to belittle the writer or Desmond Ridder by any stretch of the imagination, but, they never break down the interceptions, right? They never break down the bad plays. They only break down the good ones. That said, I think Ridder has been impressive for a rookie. And I always say this, and I say it repeatedly. It's better to play good than play bad, even in the preseason where nothing matters. It's always better to play good. So Ridder has started to show that. I tell you again, I think week 8 against the Panthers is where he makes his first start. I think that there is a very good chance that he will end up being a full-time starter by then. And with the schedule working out the way it does, they play the Panthers in week 8, and then again in week 10. You really get to see how much he can digest and change and understand by playing the same opponent in a 3-week span. So again, Ridder has to start this year. At some point, he's got to start. They've got to figure out what they got with him. Everybody knows that. Unless Mariota is somehow leading this team to an above 500 record and keeping them in playoff contention, Ridder gets to play. That's really honestly what it boils down to. So, and this assumes that Mariota is going to be healthy for the first 7 weeks. Preseason, not a very good indicator of how healthy your quarterback's going to be. Because guess what? You're not facing like the most elite level pass rushes in the preseason. But that's neither here nor there, once again. So I am ready for regular football to be here. By the way, I still like the Falcons in week 1, getting the points from the Saints. They may win this thing. They may win week 1. I'm telling you, like it shouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for everybody to think that the Falcons could actually upset the Saints in week 1. We will have the betting portion of this show coming up very, very soon for the NFL and college, including Thursday we have games, Friday we have games, so we'll get to some handicaps I like there, and of course, big Saturday game for the Georgia Bulldogs. And college playoff implication kind of games at the beginning of the year. We'll tell you why later on in the week. All right, that'll do it for us today here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Remember, we're free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, you search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Back tomorrow for a Wednesday edition. You guys have a great day. Don't take a crap, anybody. See you.